Okay, so we got this thing all apart. Let's just check out some of this Carnage here. So you can see that that thing is all the way locked out. We got 2 missing bolts. This one seems to be pretty good. Obviously you can see some of the fire. We've got some belt strippage there where there's literally no teeth there. Tensioner looks like it's hanging in pretty good. This side all looks pretty good. Nothing crazy there. You can see some of the Carnage up in here. Most of this damage up here is fire. You can see that the valves look actually pretty good down in there, despite there being some debris. There's definitely more debris in this one, if you guys can see that or not. All right, and then this is the Carnage. So actually I thought it was cylinder 3, but it's actually cylinder 4. So you can kind of see that thing way back in there. The rod just chilling there. And you can see that this thing's all busted up. I'm really curious about the heads. Here's this cylinder. So this one at least doesn't have any bent intake valves. And so yeah, I'm not 100% sure about all that. Here's this one cylinder. Just pull this guy out of the way. So this looks actually pretty good in there. So yeah, let's see what this thing looks like when we take it apart. Let's see. Oh, it's a lot of coolant. Is that where all the coolant went? Oh, there's the oil. Just gotta pull off the dipstick. Dipstick. Oh, dang. That is some carnage in there. Woo. Just throw that straight to the trash. I glued this thing down way too good. I think it's safe to say that I'm not going to be reusing this baffle, but if somebody needs it, you just let me know. Probably take these out. Probably help. Oh yeah. Dang. It's nuts in there. There's a lot of carnage in there. Let me get the big camera here. Well, I say the big camera, but the GoPro. Be nice to have the GoPro with the flashlight. The flashlight. All right. Check out that chunk. That chunk's missing. All that webbing is missing. Everything else looks pretty good. Ooh. I don't know if you guys can see that or not, but man. That's even gotten into the piston on cylinder 3. Just crazy. It's pretty brutal. All right, guys, so these are the heads. You can see they're actually, other than the bent intake valves a little bit there, they actually held up really well. So this is the side with the bad piston. This is the side that had the good piston. The heads actually look really solid in there. Be worth getting them x-rayed and getting them hot tanked and stuff, and dropping a couple new valves in there just to see, and then maybe sell these heads. These are the big intake heads. And so the heads are actually worth quite a bit. They could be worth quite a bit of money. So we'll see about that. But dang, look at that piston. That thing is munched. So talking to my engine builder, Keith James, and obviously this is, you know, not an engine he put together. This is a stock EJ206. He was saying that right where this thing is, it's the thinnest part of the rod, and that you can tell that this thing had a basically too much power essentially, and broke the rod there, and then the rest of it got beat up by basically the whole rotating assembly that came around and just kept yeeting it. So pretty crazy though. That's pretty much it though on the Carnage and this thing. The head gaskets look good. The pistons on this side look actually pretty good. But I mean the Carnage, see, the Carnage was extreme. So yeah, they're looking pretty good inside there, considering. These are obviously my ARP head studs, ARP 2000s. Nothing too crazy there. You can definitely see like how much carnage that was there. This piston actually looks pretty good. Really impressed though. Really impressed with how well this thing held up, minus the blowing up part. However, my turbo looks like it's seen some better days. We'll have to take the cartridge apart and then see if, you know, see how bad it is inside there. You can see a little bit of wear and stuff from the water, some rust. But yeah, we'll get that cartridge apart and then see what it looks like inside there. Other than that, that's all this engine is. All blown up, and hopefully we'll get to start working on putting the new engine together.
Duncan has gone to the top of the board, a 148.364. Clay Davidson just goes on through. Ryan Dusek goes to second, 149.995 as the rest of the field comes on through. Ben Thorne's first lap, a 150.882 as Ryan Frew comes on through. 145.742 jumps to the top of the board.
So kind of an inside joke among the Track Midwest community is the challenge of any car plus driver doing that sub 140 lap, which, you know, now doesn't seem all that fast, but I think it's kind of a rite of passage for want to be fast drivers. And Ben Thorne is almost there. I think he was very, very close at the spring event we were here, but didn't quite get there, like 140 point something. So look for him to be pushing to hit those 39s.
You know, what's really cool about Ben Thorne's build is, again, coming from a world of understanding GLTC and the speeds that those cars do, Ben Thorne's car is very similar to GLTC pace. And those you know, a GLTC car and Ben Thorne's car make power and will make speed in completely different ways. And it's super cool to see Ben's car, which if you put it on the street, you'd mistake it for just another car. It's not just another car.
It's absolutely rowdy. I think the peak numbers for that car are about 270 wheel horsepower.
That's a ton.
Out of a naturally aspirated K motor. So it's rowdy.
Super rowdy. Shane Duncan goes back to the top of the board, 144.755. Ryan Frew now down to second. Scott Hollingsworth in third, 148.383 for him. Dusek drops to P4 for the time being.
So I do see a return of Tim Beek, another Michigander who has run with the Grid Life Series in the past, running a bunch of different cars. One of my personal favorites was the ATS-V, where he was very quick in that car. Not sure what he's driving this weekend.
It looks like some shuffling going on. Clay Davidson just went quicker, as did Dusek. A lot of shuffling going on as drivers are working up to pace here on this session. And looks like Nick Steniford is back with us this time around. We've seen Nick a couple times. I think he ran GLTC back at COTA in the it's still the winter. It's still February out there.
So long ago.
It feels like it was years ago. But Steniford did run his S2000 out there. I think he's in his what's he got here? Not the S2000. It's
one of them old Nissans.
Yeah, he's got one of those things. So he's out there right now. Currently in 10th, a 152, 193 for Steniford so far. Working through the 10B complex and up onto you can still see the change in color of the pavement. And typically you'd be looking for the darker section. You'd be looking where the rubbered in line is, but well, today it's the darker aspect is water, and that's not stuff you want to be necessarily running over. There is a beautiful Porsche. That's the number 17. Looking down the time screen, that is Ryan Frew, and that car is flying right now. It looks like he's having fun too. Whoa, big slide there through turn 7. And now through 8 and 9.
So I've heard some rumblings. I try and stay connected to as many of the drivers as I can, and I have heard that in terms of start from scratch build for the purpose of competing in time attack, like some of those turbocharged Caymans, 4-cylinder Caymans, might actually be the hot ticket.
I think for me, Porsches have always been I guess, are they supercars? Would you consider them supercars or just sports cars? I mean, they straddle that line for me, especially, you know, the 911s. I think that would be more supercar. But I've always found that formula very interesting, especially the rear-engine Porsches. I've always found that a very interesting from a mechanical perspective. I'm an engineer, and to me that doesn't make a lot of sense. But whatever Porsche has done, those cars are witchcraft. I mean, they're so cool.
Well, I mean,
they're so fast.
It's a testament to what 40 years worth of engineering aptitude can do when you stick with the same overall layout.
I think there's like a subreddit for like awful idea, perfect execution, and I think that's what Porsche's got. But hey, I'm all for it. I live for it. And it looks like Wilbur Hung has jumped to the top of the board, 141.241. Dusek to second, 142.094. Clay Davidson third in that big 575. That car makes a lot of noise and power. That car. There is a car off in the dirt. That's the wrong direction. And look at that turn back around. I'm trying to see. I think that's the track out. So he's to driver's right of the racetrack, and he'll get turned back around.
So usually an incident like that will happen if a driver enters turn 1 too quickly and loses a little bit of the rear end. They're carrying enough speed so that the spin will probably carry them toward turn 2, even when they're out of control of the car.
Yeah, and turn 1 again is a place that you can really charge. There's some curbing on the left-hand side that you can really take and kind of jump over. And it looks like they'll get back rolling. That looked to be the 233 car.
I think that's Wilbur, actually.
Oh, it is. It is your fastest driver in the session, so he's found some paces. You see another car. I think that's at the exit of 10B, I want to say. Either that or that's over in... Is that 10B? I'm trying to get a reference for where we are. I think that's over on the backside. And that car has got some smoke pouring out of it, which is never fun.
Yeah, man, it's not what you want. looks like we've got potentially a fire here. The driver is out of the car. We've got a red flag on track, and safety crew is rolling out. So let's hope we've got the rescue guys here.
These guys are great.
We love the rescue guys. We think they're extraordinary. They're very, very quick to respond, and they are on point.
They got a fire coming out their exhaust, too. That thing was smoking. And, again, that's great that the driver got out of that car. And that's you're not supposed to get out of your car unless there's smoke or fire, and they did just that. So good job listening there. This is why it's always great to have a fire extinguisher in the vehicle, but sometimes, even if you're equipped with it, doesn't necessarily always work out in the way that you'd like it to. Session has been red flagged, and the safety truck is working through the turn 5 area now. And this is one of those things as a driver that is just sort of, you put all this time and effort in, and you have something like this happen. Never a fun day, but I'm sure there'll be lots of buddies going out to help them. Speaking of, while we're on this, going back to, I think it's Evan Wider, or back in the spring.
Yep.
That had that incident over in turn 10B. There was a collision during, I think it was an HPD or time attack session.
It was during a time attack session, and it was really unfortunate because there was no fault on anyone's behalf that there was this collision that exists. There was some kind of brake failure that resulted in a car making contact with Evan, who had just recently put in a more substantial roll cage, and car was hit pretty hard, but he was able to rebuild something, and now is back on track.
Yeah, and it's really cool to see him in the paddock today, or I think I saw him this morning, which was really cool to see. So
the community basically rallied around him, and a GoFundMe was started, and I think he raised about $10,000 for the rebuild of a
hit
track.
the goal in like 2 days too, which was really cool. So there's the fire finally being put out there. So we'll get that car off the racetrack, and hopefully damage isn't too extensive. Looked like it did kind of catch flame there for a little bit, so I'm sure that won't be necessarily inexpensive repair to make, but they'll get a chance to look. And sometimes it can be less bad than it looks when it comes to fire like that. So they'll get it back, they'll assess it, and we'll try to get an update on that later for you today.
Yep, and so I would imagine we'll be on pause here for just a little bit as this gets worked out.
Yeah, so again, looking at our schedule for the day, just to catch everyone up on where we are right now and where we're going. We're currently in our first time attack session of the day, and at 1:40, which is just under half an hour from now, we'll head into our drift sessions. And then it'll be Grid Life Touring Cup qualifying at 2:10 p.m. Eastern. And then we've got time attack after GLTC qualifying. Then we take a short break, come back for GLTC Race 1, Drift, Time Attack, GLTC, and that's where we'll end our day. We're going to take a very short break. We'll come back here in a few minutes after this has been cleaned up, and we'll be back for the continuation of Time Attack Group C.